Hi, Dr. Valerie Nelson here. You can find us on our website at drvalerienelson.com. I wanted to talk to you today about plastics and different things that we put our foods in, because a lot of people don't realize that there's better kinds of plastics than others. So I wanted to give you a quick lesson on knowing what the difference are. First of all, you're probably not going to be able to see this, but on the bottom of plastic, many plastic items, actually this one I think is on the side. It's really hard to see because it's not a different color. It's a lot of times just like embossed inside the plastic will be a triangle. Now inside that triangle will be a number. This one is a little bit, of all the plastics that I have, this one's a little bit easier to see. I don't know, is there any possibility of you seeing that or not? When I get closer, sometimes it gets a little blurry. You can't see it, okay. So, but if you pick up a plastic, any plastic container, it's gonna have a triangle with a number in it. The good numbers are going to be 1, 2, 4, and 5. Why they just couldn't make it simple for us and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know. They left 3 out of that they made it confusing. So anyways, so 1, 2, 4, and 5. So I just remember they skipped 3. So if it's not a 1, 2, 4, or 5, then it's bad, basically. So, so you want to, as much as possible, do any kind of your food storage in a plastic container that has one of those numbers on it. Now, you know how I feel about the microwave. I hardly ever use my microwave because it radiates your food. But especially if you heat food up in plastic versus glass, there's PBAs that get inside of your body that basically just mess around with your hormones. It's one of the contributing factors to early puberty. I mean, they've been able to find PBA inside breast milk, so it's getting passed on to babies. A lot of people take their baby bottles and they heat them up in the microwave, which is really bad to do, very bad to do. So basically with plastics, if you can't see the number, the crinklier the plastic, the more toxic it is. It's not that I never ever use plastic bags, but when I can, I try to avoid them. So again, I'm not about being like so ridiculously strict on everything, but a big believer in doing way more of the right things over time has an accumulative effect, either positively or negatively on your health. So for instance, okay, so again, any plastic bottle, you can see at the bottom of it, this one has a 1, so I know it's in the good plastic range. And this one, I can see the number really clearly on this. This is a 5. So another thing I do is sometimes if you're going to wrap up a sandwich, some alternatives that you can do instead of plastic wrap would be like wax paper. You can simply take your sandwich. I'm just going to pretend like this is my sandwich. And I know the wax paper doesn't always stick together, especially if you're moving around. But anyways, you can just wrap it up like that in the wax paper. And then you can put it in the tin foil to make the tin foil work. So tin foil on top of your food really shouldn't be touching your food at all if possible, especially not in the oven. So, ways you can, if you're going to store something, again, the tin foil is nice for a grippy standpoint because plastic wrap is going to be bad to put on top of your food. But you can always put a piece of wax paper on top of your casserole dish, and then you can put the aluminum foil on top of that. A lot of times when I'm baking in the oven, you should always use glass when you can. Because there's aluminum from pans that'll get into your food, and heavy metal toxicity can mess with your brain. So another thing I will do sometimes is I will get a glass container like this. Say I'm making eggplant parmesan or something. I will put it in here, and then I will just take another glass pan and just lay it on top of it so that you get that, you know, that sealed here of keeping the heat inside the pan. Of course, there's glass pans that have lids, but that's just like one little trick that I do. So it's amazing how all those things will add up over time. I mean, we all know people that have somebody that has aged rapidly much earlier than they should have. And really, disease always goes back to vitamin and mineral deficiencies or overload of toxicity. So a combination of those. So over and out, enjoy your day.